Jordan Henderson, being booed by a section of the fans when he was substituted on the hour mark. What do we make of that? What did Gareth Southgate make of that?
I really don't understand it. He's a player who, I think, 79 caps now for England. His commitment and what he's delivered for England is exceptional. His role within the group on and off the pitch is phenomenally important. He's the one that, has taken the likes of Jude Bellingham under his wing as soon as he came in the squad, provides a brilliant role model for all of the group.
Do you think, for example, that maybe him promoting the Saudi Arabian bid for the 2034 World Cup might have had an impact in fans' minds?
I don't really know where we're heading with everything. I'm hugely impressed with the impeccable values and decisions that everybody in our country is making then. Clearly, I don't understand it. I know what's created it and I know why it's happened, but it defies logic to me that you would give a player who's playing and putting his heart and soul into playing for England, why boo him? How's that going to help him or help the team?
So Gareth is saying on one hand, I know where it's coming from and I know why it's happening, but it baffles me. I mean, what is he saying there, Simon?
Well, he's saying that people don't necessarily agree with the principles of a hypocrite. Somebody that evaluates and espouses the world of what their view is and how they're supporting a particular community, and then completely compromises that by taking the path of least resistance, the one that suits them best.
So that's why they're booing him.
And then making him England captain. Your reward for having double standards, your reward for being a hypocrite, your reward for being in a substandard league is to be England captain. You have to understand, Gareth, you opened this door. You opened this door for sports stars like the England footballers to constantly be asked to opine on things, to tell the world of what their view on is. Now you want to close it. You wanted to close it 3 or 4 months ago when you talked about it, the idea of people, well, we're just footballers, not politicians. Well, rewind it 7, 8, 9, 10 months when you were lecturing the world about how you thought the world should be looking at certain things. The challenge is, of course, always the ever-moving argument about what sport should be and how it should be leveraged. I don't want to see an England player booed. But we can't have it both ways. We can't say 2 years ago, the one thing missing from football during COVID is the fans. And then when the fans come back in and start voicing their opinion, say, well, I don't know what you're on about because you're not entitled to an opinion. They don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate. And he's right to say, because we say it here, we haven't cracked it in this country. When we went over to Qatar, the first thing I said was, whilst I don't agree with the principle of their society evolves at the pace that it does. Who are we to lecture the rest of the world? Well, we make a bleeding good job of it, including the England captain he put on the pitch. So what do you expect? It's nonsense, and that's why people don't want it. That's why people are not having it. Do I think it's admirable to boo somebody? No. But do I understand why they've done it? Well, of course I do.
You get it. You get it, Martin.
Exactly. Simon has just explained it. That is absolutely correct. As a manager, you're going into press conferences and you want to try and protect the player. Of course you do. But when you're meeting a situation like this here, it was almost inevitable that he was going to get booed because of all the points that Simon has just made. And therefore, you don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. And I'm sorry, because there's quite a number of people at a game, you're not going to be able to go out onto the middle of the field and please don't boo the player now that he's been made captain of the side. It was inevitable, and it happened.
Would you have been more realistic in your answer than Gareth was there?
Wait a minute, hold on. I've done plenty of interviews afterwards where I've, I thought to myself, that didn't go down too well. So, what I'm saying I could understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to protect the player because the player's been terrific for him in terms of the games that he's played. He's made him captain of the side. But as Simon mentioned, he's exposed him in that sense that he's going to get the criticism. Yeah. But regardless of whether he was captain, he was going to get some sort of criticism anyway for
this
the
things
things that
he's been said. This is out of the Martin O'Neill playbook, though. This is a manager looking at the world going, sod it, I'm going to do what I want. And I'm not going to play the game. I'm not going to placate the media or be balancing my thinking. There was no need, besides the fact that Jordan Henderson is when Harry Kane's not playing, he's the captain. And you've decided to make him captain directly after he's moved to a substandard league on the back of comments that he's made, the hypocrisy that people have pulled him up for. And, of course, he's out there campaigning for a World Cup in 2034. All of that was unnecessary. It would have been wiser, perhaps. There was no need for him to play in that game. It would have been wiser, perhaps, to insulate him from it. Why should he have to? Because this is what happens. And if you don't want this to happen, then don't put him in the way of it. And if it does happen, don't cry about it.
Right.
You guys brought this upon yourselves.
Yeah.
You've now got it. You say, well, look, whilst I don't agree with it, I can understand to some extent the fans' view, but I can tell you this lad is a top footballer, top professional that does his best for his country, and then move on.
So when
it's not crying
Southgate
about
says,
it.
Simon, he's a role model in the squad, I don't understand it. He really does.
Well, he understands. Of course he understands, unless he's been living under a rock. He understands why people have the reaction. He understands the hypocrisy and the double standards. This is why, tragically, you do not open this can. You cannot have the George Orwell speech that some animals are more equal than others, right? You have to have it on the basis of what you believe in and what you think is and then you have to be prepared to commit yourself to it. And they don't want to. So people that are looking at it going, well, and there's natural tribalism because people will look at a player that they may not like or think that ultimately shouldn't be in the side, and then they weaponise that too.
Yeah.
But you can't keep putting professional sportsmen into the world of geopolitics and societal travails and expect them to have the substance that other people might have.
Or the only thing I was going to answer, so you were saying to him the best thing for him was to have pulled him out of that particular game. But let's say coming up now on, is it tomorrow evening? Tomorrow evening, he may want to play him in that game against Italy, and therefore he might be subjected to the same sort of criticism again.
But Kane will be back on the field.
Yeah,
Kane will be the captain.
Yeah.
It cannot be the reward for you to be exposing certain values. Be careful what kind of leaders you're producing here. You want men of substance and character, stand by their word. Not, oh yes, he can put his arm around Jude Bellingham. So what? You want people to have the standards of society that ultimately represent the good things, not the fair weather, flaky, what's in it for me mentality.
Right.
I'm sure he's a decent fella. I'm sure that when he initiated this campaign to be able to raise money for the national health that nobody asked him to do so they could avoid the pay cut that all the players didn't want to have during COVID, and everyone portrayed them as a hero, I'm sure he's wonderful. Not in my book, not with that nonsense, no.
We're at 11 o'clock. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin O'Neill. Monday morning.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.